The following program is sponsored by AmeriLife of Central Florida.
Just ahead on Retirement Your Way with AmeriLife of Central Florida. When it comes to planning for retirement, it's not just about stashing money in one account. You'll learn about the different places you can invest to protect and grow your wealth. Bradley and Madison will clear up the confusion there. Plus, we'll bust some more financial myths in another edition of our favorite game show. It's called Right or Wrong. Retirement Your Way starts now. Hello and welcome to Retirement Your Way. I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm here with Bradley and Madison Harden from AmeriLife of Central Florida. Hello once again.
Hello.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. I appreciate you both being here as always because we get to share a lot of wonderful and hopefully very helpful information for the viewers at home. Talk a little bit before we kind of delve into the sort of the meat of the show today, what you both do for clients here in Central Florida and how you're able to help them prepare for their retirement years.
Right. So Madison and I have 17 years of experience working with pre-retirees and retirees to help them safely navigate retirement. And we've been with AmeriLife the entire time, who's been open for over 50 years, headquartered in Florida. So we know exactly what it's like to be a retiree in Florida and can give you some advice based on what we've learned during our career.
Yeah. And you're a husband and wife team as well, so that gives you a unique perspective on things, especially I'm sure when you're working with married couples who are trying to navigate that time period in their lives.
Right. So we find our strength is not only as financial professionals, but in our partnership, in our daily life, allows us to give a unique perspective on our advice. And we just try to educate our clients to help them make the best choices that they can.
Yeah. The business partnership and the life partnership really come in handy when you're going through all of this with potential clients and with clients here. And, I'm sure that, if you're watching at home or wherever you might be today, could be asking, where can I invest? That's kind of the subject of the show today. And the answer to that question kind of goes beyond the stock market. I think that's probably the first thing that people might think of. I'm going to buy stocks or mutual funds or all of these other things, but that's just one place. And actually the first place that we want to talk about where people can invest is in the bank. That, people obviously think of that as, okay, well, that's where I have my checking account. I have a savings account there. But, it is one place that you can keep your money after all, and that would be the bank.
Right. And with the bank, you have to have your checking saving. You have to have that security of knowing if I had a short-term emergency, I can go get some cash, pay for that emergency and move on. And we know that they also offer, accounts called CDs. And so those are going to be very short-term solutions to just earn a little bit higher than a traditional savings account. Now, those are insured up to $250,000 by the FDIC. And so again, when we look at your buckets in retirement, we consider three of them. One of them is the bank. You have to have it. It's part of everybody's plan, and it's going to be there. It's safe. So,
and it's that more, tend to have anyway more liquidity there, like the money that you can get to if you need it, right? Maybe having your emergency fund in the bank and that sort of thing, so that you can get to that should the need arise. And inevitably, life is life and life happens, and you're going to need to get your hands on some money quickly without having to, like in this second place that we're going to talk about here, go and sell shares of a stock or something like that, or a mutual fund, which mutual funds only trade after the market is closed. You can't trade those during the day, so you might have to wait to get your hands even longer on any of those funds that you might need. So let's talk a little bit about the market. So we've got talking about the bank, the liquidity is there. There's some safety there with the FDIC guarantees up to that $250,000 limit. And then you go to the market where really everything is at risk, but it's a risk reward kind of a scenario because you could see higher returns, but there is a lot of risk in the market.
Right. And people have been investing in the stock market since the beginning of time. We're not here to say that there's anything wrong with having some funds invested in the market. You can have some great returns, but also, like you said, the risk is there. And so in retirement, we just really drive home the fact that we need to be basing our portfolio more on those guarantees and safe income streams.
Yeah. And those FDIC, guarantees that are there in the bank,
Right.
there is nothing like that when it comes to the stock market. I mean, you're just 100% at risk. You could literally lose everything, but you could see, as you say, some gains as well, and pretty significant ones.
Right. And what we see when we look back a few years ago, the markets, for example, let's say the market lost 25%. Well, in some cases, people think, oh, well, if I lost 25%, I only have to make 25% to be even again. And that's not the case. If you lose 25%, you have to make 33% just to come back to even. And so as you approach retirement ages, you want to start to mitigate or kind of take out some of the risk of that portfolio. And again, on some of the previous episodes, we've used the rule of 100 to determine a safe, comfortable position as you move forward.
Yeah, and just take the number 100, subtract your age. The amount that's left over is what should be at risk in the market as a general guideline, general rule there. And then, the rest needs to be in safety. And we'll talk more about safety when we come back, because that's going to be the third bucket that we talk about, is kind of the safe money, the money that you cannot afford to lose. Now, before we take this quick break, though, you're going to notice there is a QR code that's on your screen. It'll be there throughout the entire episode today. Take out your phone, scan that code at any time so that Bradley and Madison can get started on your retirement plan. It's free of any cost or any obligation. Stick around. There's much more Retirement Your Way coming up. Welcome back to Retirement Your Way. I'm Matt McClure. Really appreciate you joining us for this edition of the show. I'm here along with Bradley and Madison Harden of AmeriLife of Central Florida, and we're talking a lot about retirement, as always, but specifically today about, the question, where can I invest? And we've talked about the bank, because there's obviously the option for liquidity there. You want the money that you can get a hold of should you need it. The money that you're going to use to pay your bills and that sort of thing. That's where it will be immediately before it is needed, right? So you need that liquidity. It also provides some safety with those FDIC guarantees, as you were talking about, insured up to $250,000. The potential reward sort of bucket, big reward sort of bucket, but a big risk sort of bucket as well, is in the market. So you could, see great returns there, but you can also see a loss of everything because you're completely at risk in the market. So now this sort of next phase where we're talking before we came back on the air here, kind of is a combination of the two. And it's probably something that a lot of people don't think about when they think about investing, but it's investing with an insurance company.
Right. And what the insurance company has been able to do is provide clients with, a feature of each of the previous buckets where you've got safety. So number one, the insurance company guarantees that you will not lose what you put into their plan. Secondly, you will be rewarded as the markets grow. And so a combination, we call it more like a hybrid approach, where you've got your safety. You know that when you wake up tomorrow, you will have at least as much as you put in there, if not more. And it's our job to help you diversify within that portfolio to be able to create market-like returns with the insurance company, so that way you do feel rewarded as well.
Yeah, it's so interesting that there is this option there that people don't really even think about or know about. And there are within that, the kind of the insurance world, when we're talking about investing or when we're talking about income, because you can turn on income thanks to a lot of the different vehicles that an insurance company will offer. But a lot of, when we're talking about all of that, it just is not something that comes to mind for people, but it is something that exists. And there are a lot of different options within that whole realm to do a lot of different things.
Exactly. And it's not something that a lot of clients are aware of. We have our homeowners insurance, our car insurance. You can even insure trips and cell phones and things of that nature. But having insurance on your money, on your retirement, might be one of the most important things that you can do. And like Bradley said, you're not giving up the ability to earn. You're just simply putting a floor on not being able to lose. So a good visual is it's like a staircase. As you earn with the market, that becomes your new floor, and then you can never go below. So we have a lot of happy clients when we're dealing with these sorts of products.
Yeah, it would be a lot more, well, I guess I should say a lot less stressful to look at that sort of performance chart of, say, one of those type vehicles that we're talking about, rather than to look at the stock market, or a chart of the stock market or a particular stock portfolio, right, where it looks like an EKG, up and down and up and down, yeah, or a roller coaster, whatever metaphor you want to use there. But talk about, now I know that there's a particular family that you all were able to help here fairly recently, the Davis family, we're going to call them as we change the names to protect the innocent. But let's talk about their particular scenario, because I know that you were really able to help them on quite a few fronts with their financial plan as they headed into the retirement years.
Right. And so when we met them, this particular account was at risk on the market, and the husband was drawing out of that account. So one of the problems we ran into was that longevity risk. If he were to continue to draw down that account and it went to zero, that was it. There was no more money to draw out of. And secondly, being the risk. So if he's drawing out the money and the market takes a dive, well, that just gets him closer to zero. And so what we were able to do is transition them into a vehicle that immediately removed the risk. So he no longer had to worry about if the market went down again, he was also going to go down. And secondly, he wanted to make sure that if he were to pass away, the income that he was receiving was going to be payable for his spouse. And so the vehicle we used provided both of that. It removed the risk, provided income for the rest of his life, and upon his passing, no matter how much was left in the account, even if it was zero, that income then passed to the wife that will go on for the rest of her life also.
Yeah. And this particular solution offered through an insurance company that, so it is kind of like we were talking about, Madison, it's like insuring their retirement, not only for one, but for both. And I think that also, kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, bringing your unique perspective as a married couple to the table, you were able to offer these type solutions that really do cover both and have both people in mind.
Exactly. And he just wanted to make sure that she was going to be taken care of in the event that he passed away early, and we were able to do exactly that.
Yeah, love that. And I'm sure that the Davis family loves that as well. And look, folks, I can pretty much tell you that you are going to love meeting with Bradley and Madison and getting your financial plan in place so that you can have a more secure retirement. And you can get some certainty for your retirement years. All you have to do to set up that initial consultation, which is free of any cost or obligation, is scan the QR code that's right there on your screen. You can also call the number or go to the website. Okay, stick around. There's much more of Retirement Your Way coming up next. This is Retirement Your Way with AmeriLife of Central Florida. Matt McClure here with you alongside Bradley and Madison Hardin. And it is time for us to play a little bit of a game here. We're going to have some fun with you, and we hope that you play along if you're watching us at home or wherever you might be right now. Because what I'm going to do, we call this right or wrong. So I'm going to present a statement about something that has to do with the subject of today's show, which of course is where can I invest, right? All the different places that you can put your money and which might be better in certain circumstances and which might not be, all right? So all of these statements will have to do with that in general. But I'm going to say these statements, and some of them may be correct. Some of them may be a little bit off base or a lot off base. And Bradley and Madison are going to tell me if those statements are right or wrong. Play along and see if you get it right or if you're wrong too. So here we go. And statement number one is this. The types of safe money investments that you hold in your portfolio don't matter as long as you have a portion dedicated to them.
That is wrong. And so when it comes to safe investments, a lot of people consider the bank, maybe a bank CD to start off with. And while that is okay for a small portion of your assets, the issue there is that they only have a 10% reserve requirement versus something that an insurance company offers called a multi-year guarantee annuity. And all insurance companies have to have a 100% reserve requirement. Also, there are no fees associated with that MYGA. And lastly, you don't have the ability to customize the way that you may want to as you get through retirement and start distributing that back to yourself.
Yeah, and then there's also, people think of bonds being a safe investment as well, and of course, there is a lot of truth to that, but also you're subject to still some risks in there. One of them being interest rate risks, right? Because if the interest rates go up, then you have to sell that bond at a discount. Like it's just a lot of stuff that you take off the table, a lot more risk that you take off the table if you can replace those bonds with another type of investment. In this case, a MYGA or maybe a fixed indexed annuity, one of those different types of investments that still provide a lot of safety, but maybe perhaps some more guarantees and more of a safety net for you there.
Right, and you mentioned fixed index annuity, and what that does is it creates a floor. You can never go below what you put in, but also you can track market indexes and receive a portion of that interest as those indexes grow. So we have been seeing people transition from bonds over to fixed index annuities and MYGAs.
Yeah, and you eliminate the fees that go along with that bond portion of the portfolio as well. So a lot of potential advantages there. All right, so number two here is something to do with bonds. I just gave myself away on this one, but I'll give it to them. It's a freebie because they've been batting 1,000 this whole time with these right or wrong questions. It is this. You can delete fees on the bonds that you currently hold by replacing them with an investment that offers market-like gains without market risk.
That is right. So in the past, bonds were seen as the safer alternative versus stocks, and that would be a common thing that we would hear from folks that we met with is, I am safe, I'm invested mostly in bonds. And while that may be a little bit true, there is a better alternative. Like Bradley said, the fixed index annuities really do offer the best of both worlds, being that you can earn, but you put a floor on it. And really, it just provides a more stable overall trajectory of your retirement rather than those peaks and valleys that we discussed on previous episodes.
Yeah, and that, if you replace the bonds in your portfolio with something like what we've been talking about here, you not only eliminate the fees, but you eliminate any of that uncertainty that may come along with it. And it could potentially be a better alternative for you and help balance things out a little bit better. And just give you an overall better picture for your retirement and set you up for more security. So that is something that everybody should appreciate. More security in your retirement years is a wonderful thing. All right, here we go with number 3. The best place to invest my money for retirement is always the market, no matter how old I am.
That is wrong. And so in previous episodes, we've talked about the 3 different buckets. So you've got bank, market, and safe. We really do feel it's the best approach in retirement to be spread out amongst those different buckets. 1, the bank, because you got to have a bank account and to pay your bills. 2nd is safe, money I may not need now, but I don't want to give up the opportunity for growth. And lastly, allocating a portion of that asset to the market.
Yeah.
Right. And the way that we determine, how much to allocate to each bucket would be using the equation we've mentioned called the rule of 100. And so it's just a simple equation that we use based on your age as to find out how much of your portfolio we should really leave up to risk. So if you're in your 70s, you need to be protecting what you can't afford to lose. So at age 70, we subtract that from 100 and we would find that only about 30% of your portfolio should maybe be on the market and subject to risk. And then that other 70%, just putting that more into the guaranteed safety bucket like Bradley was describing.
Yeah, and don't lose the money that you can't afford to lose, especially as you get closer to retirement or in retirement. You want that safety to be in place. And one more question here, or statement, I guess I should say, for right or wrong, is this: working with a financial professional can help me reach my retirement goals and allow me to have the retirement I've always dreamed of.
That is right. And we see that people that have professionals helping them are able to achieve that 5 o'clock summer retirement and have it your way. So that is right. It's always best to have a professional help to help achieve those goals.
A lot of people might say, oh, but it's going to be too expensive to work with a financial professional or something like that. Well, it's probably too expensive not to in a lot of ways, because the overall performance can be, and many times is, a lot better when you do work with a financial professional. So really can't afford not to work with one, folks. And if you would like to work with these two financial professionals, all you have to do is scan the QR code that's there on your screen, get started with that initial consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation to continue on with them there. You would only work with them if it's best for you, and you all agree that that's the case. Scan the QR code, get in touch with them for that first appointment. All right, stick around. Much more Retirement Your Way to come right after this. This is Retirement Your Way with AmeriLife of Central Florida. Thanks so much for being a part of the show this time around. Matt McClure here with you, and I am also here with Bradley and Madison Harden from AmeriLife of Central Florida. The subject of today's show, we've really been talking about where can I invest, kind of answering that question. The three, sort of main places, the main buckets for your money. Talk about those and kind of the importance of, keeping those in their correct categories, for their correct uses, I guess I should say, for your retirement.
Right. And so the three main places that we talk about a lot are, one of them is the bank. So everybody knows you got to have your bank account, your checking, savings, and they've got short-term investments such as CDs that offer, some return on that cash that you have at the bank. And the second place, which a lot of people are familiar with, which is where a lot of 401k money is at currently, would be the stock market. And lastly, the third place would be insurance companies. Now, I know that may be a little, uncommon, and that's part of the discussion when we meet is, you have insurance for your home, insurance for your health, right? So it may be time to look at some insurance for your money.
Yeah, insurance for your money, insurance for your retirement years specifically. And I think that is, for me anyway, probably maybe the biggest takeaway from the show today is, just the eye-opening fact that, yes, insurance companies can help you with, your retirement plan, with the accumulation, with the distribution, with all of the things. It's not just, if something goes wrong, then there's a benefit that's paid out, right?
Right. And like we've previously mentioned, you just want to be diversified. There's no all eggs in one basket here. A good blend is always going to be best. Like Bradley said, the bank's going to house your cash for your more liquid needs, whereas, these insurance companies are able to provide programs where you can maybe create an income stream you can't outlive, or if you're just looking for a place to grow your money with no downside risk, there are so many options available.
Yeah, and that is the thing, as we have said in previous episodes, and I'll say it again here because it does bear repeating, options kind of are everything when it comes to your retirement plan, but it's being able to navigate those options successfully, I feel like, and that's where having the professional opinion and the professional education, obviously, that you both have and can bring to the table, having that guidance as just, your regular everyday person out there really does come in handy. And it's actually really essential to being able to have a successful retirement.
Right. And as we mentioned earlier in the case study, the gentleman and his wife, they thought they had a plan. They were taking distributions from an account that was invested on the market, but there was no guarantee that income was going to be forever. And there was no guarantee that market account was not going to also lose value. So we analyzed it, we put a plan together, and now not only can they never lose money, that income will now be payable for both his life and for the rest of her life.
Income not only for one of the spouse's lives, but for both. And that really is, it speaks to the customization part of this, and it also speaks to the peace of mind that comes along with having a plan where you're not going to outlive your money. We talk about things like budgeting and that sort of thing. I talk about, okay, do we have more, is there more money than month, or do we have more month than money? This is like taking that and expanding it to the lifetime. Am I going to have more life than money, or more money than life, and you want to be on the right side of that sort of equation, right?
Absolutely. And being able to help them, especially in terms of looking out for your spouse in the event that one of them were to pass away early, is a big strength that we have, not only in our approach with our business, but just in building that relationship with our clients. I feel like we have a unique perspective in that.
And relationship building is part of that initial consultation, right? It's kind of part of where it all begins, where it all starts. Talk about that process. Let's say if someone is watching, they scan the QR code or go to the website or call the number and set up that initial meeting. What's that process like?
Very first meeting is just getting to know you and you getting to know us. And we want to see if your actions match your intentions. And so we just go back and forth and get a baseline of, are you on track to have a successful retirement your way?
Yeah, and that's the thing. If your actions don't match your intentions, then you're not going to wind up where you want to be. And so that is the whole point of doing just this very thing, getting that initial consultation and getting your plan underway. Bradley and Madison can help you get there. And again, it all starts with that consultation. It's free of cost or obligation. So all you have to do, once again, scan that QR code that's there on the screen. Well, we appreciate you joining us for this last half hour. Bradley, Madison, appreciate you as well and sharing all the knowledge with us.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. And we'll see you back here again for another edition of Retirement Your Way.
The preceding program was sponsored by AmeriLife of Central Florida.